So on today's lesson, we're going to see from chapter number 4. And in this chapter, we're going to see some important formulas for the Excel that is a pivot table, that will be our VLOOKUP, and data validation, find and replace. A few important things we're going to see today. And as we already know, the Excel is all about using the data on the Excel. So obviously, like unless we actually work in the Excel, it's gonna be very difficult to remember this formula for long enough. But when you will be actually working in in organization and in day-to-day basis, you're going to use this formula. That will be very useful for you, and you will see like that time you will never forget that. For example, a few formulas in Excel, it's like a mini software. For example, the pivot table, nowadays this software is quite important, especially for analyzing the data. So if you like to analyze the data, if you like to play with your information, if you like to see the result or outcome from the huge range of data, the pivot table could be one of the important formula in Excel that will help you to find out like what you're exactly looking for. For example, let's say if we have a college, and if we have like 2000 student in this college, and if I like to find it out like how many student get more than 80%, how many student get less than 50%, what is the revenue from the last period, what was the cost, every single thing is possible to see from one formula, and that could be the pivot table. So nowadays, like pivot table is quite important and quite popular. And another important formula uh, that we always use, especially if you work in the finance, or if you work in the payroll. So this formula, this lookup formula, is quite important. The VLOOKUP, especially VLOOKUP. Sometimes you do use HLOOKUP, but it's the same thing. VLOOKUP means vertical lookup, and HLOOKUP means the horizontal lookup. So when you do it the other way, but these two formulas are quite popular. So for example, let's say I work in a payroll section, and if you work in a payroll section, most of the time the payroll manager also responsible for calculation of the pension. So let's say you are the person who is in charge for the payroll and also for the pension. Now, every single employee, they have a gross income and the net income. So when you get the report from your payroll, the payroll will give you gross income, payroll will give you net income. On the other hand, you have to see how much is the pensionable earning. Now, the pensionable earning means like the employee reach the pension threshold. For example, let's say the pensionable earning is 192. If we look at the last financial year, that is 192 per week. So if any employee earn more than 192 pound per week, they have to pay pension 5%. Now from the payroll report, I will get only the gross income, or maybe I'll get the net income. Now, when I have this separate report for the pension, I will not know how much was the gross income. So that time I have to match the employee. So I have to get the report. For example, how much was the gross income for this employee, and how much was the pensionable earning for this employee. So I have a two report, and I want to make the combination of these two report into one report. So if I like to do it, this a VLOOKUP will be very helpful for me. Otherwise, for example, let's say if I have a 500 employee, it will take a lot of time for me to do one by one. So this is one of the formula that we use kind of everyday life. If you work in the payroll section or in the pension section, it will be very useful for you if you work on that area, or if you're already working, you know it. The next one, as I said, the pivot table. Pivot table is kind of a mini software, as I said before. So as long as you have all the data, you can present the data in the Excel the way you like. For example, you want to see the average, you want to see the count, if you want to see the sum, the total, anything you like, you can see it from there by using the pivot table. So that's the reason pivot table is quite popular. The people who analyze the data. Then we have some control and security sharing on the Excel. So the first thing we can see that is data validation. Data validation comes under the control. So data validation means, like, for example, I like to see this data is a valid or not. For example, let's say you have a company and you want none of the employee are allowed to work more than 40 hours a week. So you says that's the government regulation. Every single employee have to work less than 40 hours a week. So you can give a command to the Excel and you tell the Excel, listen, if someone like to insert more than 40, you give the warning or you stop them. So if you give this information to the Excel, and if anyone try to put more than 40 hours in the system, the Excel will give the warning or Excel will stop them to do it. And the Excel will give a message and tell you cannot do it because you are not allowed to put more than 40 hours, or no employee allowed to work more than 40 hours a week. So this is kind of the data validation. For example, you might say, uh, any employee work for the company, they will not get holiday more than 100 hours for the whole year. Or maybe any employee work for the company, they will not get more than 20 pound per hour whenever they work day or night. So any type of warning or any type of validation, if you like to get from the Excel, you can always give the command and Excel will follow that. So from that point of view, Excel is quite important, and that will control the data. So if you like to control something, you can do that. So Excel will follow whatever instruction you give into Excel. Then it is also possible to protect the Excel file through password. So for example, let's say I'm sending one Excel file to someone, and the information we have on the Excel, it is quite sensitive. For example, we have very confidential information on the Excel, and I don't want anyone can open it and see it. So I will be able to put the password on the Excel. So for example, if I send one file to another department, and let's say anyone can from that department, they can see the email and they can use it. But for example, if I look for one specific person, like he will be only the person who can see this data. So I can enter the password and I can tell the password to that person. I can say, this is the password for this file. So even the other people try to open it, they will not be able to open it. So the file, before the opening of the file will ask for the password, and obviously unless you enter the password, you'll not be able to open the file. So you'll there is a system you can put the password on the Excel. Also, there is a another way. For example, if you like, you will send a file to someone, but you just want these people can see the file but cannot edit. So you can do read only as well. So if you do read only when you do the password, so obviously if this is the case, then you will see like they can only read, but they will not be able to uh, edit anything. Give me 1 second. One student just waiting to join, I think. Okay, so obviously, like this is could be very simple thing, but obviously, like this could be crucial. Sometimes we don't want to see like all this data that is not allowed for everyone. So we don't like to see this information. So it is possible we can enter the password for that. Then cell protection. Cell protection, for example, in one worksheet. Let's we have few worksheet on the Excel, and in this worksheet, for example, let's say on the headline, I have some information and I want the people working on this file, they will not be able to change it. So for example, the first row, I want no one will be able to change it. So I can protect the cell. I can protect the whole worksheet or the workbook. Even I can protect few cell. So for example, I said only cell number 1 and 2 is not allowed to change or it is not editable. So I can protect this cell. If anyone try to change it, So it will give them a warning and tell you are not allowed to change it. And you can enter any message you like. So obviously, if they try to change it, that message will come as a warning. Then we have a find and replace. This one is quite popular because, for example, we have a whole range of data. And let's say one company, let's say you are an accountant and you have a lot of client. And there is a company called A Limited. But later on, you found this company is not A Limited, that is A PLC. It is not LTD, it is PLC. Now, for the whole data, there might be 100 times you have information for this company. And if you try to change it one by one, maybe it will take a lot of time. So rather than you do one by one, you can find what you want to change and you can change everything at the same time. Same as, for example, let's say if there's something A, and if you want every single A we have on the whole worksheet, I like to make it, let's say, B. So you can change it to B. So you can find the A and replace it to B. So this one is quite popular, especially like when you like to change something from the whole worksheet, from the whole workbook. So if you know what was the mistake, sometimes it's happened like we have on the Excel sheet, we have a lot of zero. For example, you have 100 employee and few employee, they don't earn anything for this month. And next to the name is a zero earnings. And we said we don't like to see the zero. We just make it empty. We just want to keep this cell empty. So in this case, we can say Control F, that will give me find and replace. And on the find section, we can say zero. And on the replace section, we don't write anything. So every single zero will be changed to nothing. So all of this is quite popular for our find and replace section. Then we have a filtering the data. Filtering data is quite easy, and I'm sure all of us we use this filtering data every day. So filtering data is all about like from the whole range of data, what exactly I'm looking for, I can select it. So for example, if I have a few product A, B, C, D, and I can check everything, obviously like I can check everything and I can look for what exactly I need. So for example, on the filter section, it will give me this option which one I want to see. So I can say, okay, I just want to see only A. So if I only select the A, it will give me the whole range of data only for the A. So that one is like using for the filter. And subtotal, I'm sure all of us we know it, how to make the total. So sorting the data is it depends how I like to sort. For example, let's say sometimes we like to buy some clothes from the online, and they said like you can sort the data. They said, okay, so you want to see from the price higher to lower or lower to higher, or you want to see this and that. So you can sort your data based on your requirement. For example, let's say you have few employees, their national insurance number, their address, their phone number, and their date of birth. So you want to sort it out with the name. So it will be start with A, all the people you have, it will come A first, then you can see B, C. If you like to see the date of birth, so you can see the earliest one, the latest one. So whatever you want to see, you can see from there. So sorting is quite popular in our Excel. And then you have a linking the worksheet, that quite easy. I'm sure all of you know that. Anytime if I like to link a sheet, worksheet, so we just enter the equal. For example, if I have a 10 here, and if I like to enter 10 here as well in this cell, what I do, I just uh, enter the equal and click here and press enter, and this 10 will come here. And every time if I change this one, so this 10, if I make 20, that will be automatically 20. So linking the cell means this cell will be linked to other cell. So if I change the default cell or the main cell, the other cell will be changed automatically. Then you have a copying the worksheet. This is quite easy. If we have a worksheet on the bottom, so if you uh, uh, click the right side of your mouse, it will show you move or copy the worksheet, and it will tell you how you want to copy. So you can copy the whole worksheet will be copied on the tab section. Then we have some other function as well. Here we have a goal seek, we have a train, we have error checking. All of this is not very popular for the synoptic exam, and also not for your work. So this type of thing, a goal seek, you will hardly use the goal seek if you work for a mortgage company. For example, if you work for a bank where you give a loan to the people, and if you like to see after how long they will pay you the loan, and what will be the interest. So if you change the interest rate, the loan amount will be changed. For example, if you like to know how much would be the total mortgage for a house, and if the house price is 500,000, so the interest rate is 10%. So the goal seek will help you calculate the amount automatically. And as soon as you change any amount, if you said, okay, I want to see what happen if I pay some more deposit, and it will change everything, how much will be the monthly installment and everything. So goal seek is important for certain jobs. You're not going to use it on your everyday life, so it is important, but for only certain jobs. Trend line, if you like to show your trend, you know how is it works. So for example, if you have a graph, you can show in a trend. So this one is uh, uh, usable sometimes, or you use it sometimes when you prepare the budget, or you compare the budget with the last year with this year. So for the management accounting purpose, the trend is used sometimes, but it is not the job you do every day. And we have some chart, error detection. This is just like kind of, I would say, even if you don't know it for your synoptic paper, it will be not that hard, because they're not gonna ask you to find the error detection or the reporting information. So this is kind of just for your information, but it will not will be asked in the synoptic exam. All right, so this is the little bit briefing about the chapter review. Now we can move on. We'll see what we have here, and we'll try to practice some exercise from this Excel book. So let's move on and let's have a look what we have. Okay, I have a question from Sarka. Is it to get in trouble if some combination of letter are within another name of company, or that is exactly, that's true. So you have to be very careful. So if you like to change the zero, and every single zero you have, it will be changed. That's correct. Okay, so let's have a look what we have here. The introduction, we have a control, security, and sharing. I think the first one is a very basic, how to save a file. So I would say like we don't have to spend time on that. So how to open or save a file, or how to save as. So the difference between the save as and the save is, when you save the file we are working, that file will be saved. But when I said the save as, so you want to save a new file. So the current file I'm working, that will be exactly the way it is, so it will not be changed. So when I save as a savage, so I can save another new file in desktop or C drive or somewhere, but I can still work on the current file. There's the difference between the save as and save. The backup. Now the backup is all about like I like to keep the backup, because if my hard disk is crash, or if something happened to my computer, so I can still recover the data. Now obviously you can do the backup in a pen drive, in a Dropbox, or any sort of like storage device. You can keep the file there, so that if you lost the data from your computer, still you can recover it. Then we have auto recover. This one is built in on your Excel. I will show you where it is. It is, let's open one of the example, maybe anything. So I can show this one. So the auto recover, you will be seen on the file section. So on the file section, if you click on the save, and it will take you to the auto recover section. So let's have a look where it is. See, if we click save, the option, first you need to click the option. Yeah, once you click the option, so this template will be open like Excel options. There's a lot of options here, and one of the option, I think, save. So in the save section we can see save auto recover information. So if you can click here, and you can tell like where exactly you want to save the file, the auto recover file. So and every how many minute you want to save the file. So save auto recover information every 5 or 10, you can choose the time. So every time minute the file will be automatically save based on your destination. The destination will be provided, you can put the destination here. Normally, it is set up by the Excel, and you can see it on the Excel. Normally, it is 10 minutes, so you can keep it 10 minutes, but it is not very important thing because when you work, we need to make sure the file is saved. But it kind of like give you a little bit relief in case like if you close the file mistakenly. So if you're working and suddenly you close the file, and all the information you already, all the work you have done, it will be lost. So if you have the auto recover option, maybe you're not going to lose everything. So that's the reason people use that, and this is kind of built in, so it will be there automatically anyway. All right, so the next point, let's have a look what we have there. The next point, we have the cell protection. So maybe this is our first point, the first example we have, cell protection. So let's read this one, illustration number 1, and it says like protecting the worksheet. Now remember the difference between the worksheet and the workbook and the cell. Now cell means only one. Cell means only one cell. So for, let's say like one box of the Excel, we call it cell. We have a lot of boxes in the Excel, and one boxes we call it cell. And for the whole page, we call the worksheet. And if I have 5 or 6 tab or 2 tabs, so how many tab I have in this file, this is called workbook. So in the bottom, let's say I have 1 2 3, so all this tab, all this file together, we called it workbook. The reason I'm saying this one, for example, if I look for something, let's say I make a separate tab for every single month. For example, I have a January, I have a February, and I have a March. So for every single month, I make a new tab for the bank analysis. So how much money going from the bank, how much money coming to the bank. Now, for example, I'm looking for the British gas, how much money I paid to the British gas. Now, if I do Control F, then the find option will come. And if I just said British gas, for example, and it will look for only for the worksheet. Remember, it will be only look for the worksheet, the main page, unless you change it to workbook. So on the find section, you have to change the workbook to worksheet to workbook, so that this Control F, the finding can be from every single tab you have. So looking for the British Gal bill from every single month, January, February, March, April, not only from one month. So sometimes, like for example, I have Excel file, and maybe my manager asks me, can you see how much we paid total for the British gas? So we can basically find it easily. You can say Control F and we write British gas and just enter, enter, enter. So every time I press enter, it will take me one of the British gas amount. So if I added all of this, that will give me the total British gas. But I need to make sure I change it, the find section from the worksheet to workbook, so that the whole Excel can find automatically from there. All right, so this is basically the simple explanation. It's not very hard, but obviously sometimes the simple thing is very helpful. If we don't know it, it could give us some stress on the workplace. Okay, so let's open this one, illustration 1. They said protecting worksheet. So it says open the spreadsheet costing exercise finished. So there is some example on the zip file that we have downloaded, and that is called costing exercise finished. We're going to see that. So let's have a look. Let's read quickly that first. Number 1. Number 2 said highlight the range B2 to B5 And this contains some of the assumption on which the cash flow forecast is based. And this is only range of cell that we want to be unlocked and available for alternation. So basically we want like this cell is open and anyone can change it. So I want all the other information we have on the Excel sheet. If anyone try to change it, they will not be able to change. But only this cell from B2 to B5, they will be able to change that. In the home section of the ribbon, click on the small arrow beside the front and then choose protection. So there should be some small arrows next to the front, and they said click that, and this window will be open. Untick locked and hidden boxes. Click OK. Now go review group of the ribbon. So we have a review section on the ribbon. So they said click there, and after that they said click on protected sheet. Okay, don't enter a password when promoted, simply press OK. So they are saying like you don't have to enter the password right now, you just click OK. Now investigate what you can change on the spreadsheet. You should find that only cell B2 to B5 can be changed. If you try to change anything else, a message come up telling you that this cell is protected. Click on unprotected sheet to make every cell accessible to change again. So we can make it unprotected again. All right, so you're going to move to now this illustration one. Let's open that one. Illustration one, that is called costing exercise. And we'll do that from here. Okay, the first thing they said like um, select the range that is B2 to B5. So we have a B that is 2 till 5. Okay, we like to protect the whole worksheet except this 4. Okay, so we want this 4 only can be changed, not others. And on the home section they said we have a small button here, so next to the front. I think this one even give you the same thing. So if you click, even if you don't have this one on your computer, if you think, oh, I don't have this one on my Excel is really old, you can right click, and if you click the format the cell, it will give you the same thing. So uh, the way you can do it is the same story. Then they said like click on the protection. Okay, we click on the protection, and they said untick the locked and hidden. My one is already unticked, but if you have a tick you can untick it. Then they said okay, so I'll press okay. Then they said now go to the review section, so I'll click on the review, and they said click on the protect sheet. So I'm going to click the protect sheet, and they said do not enter the password, just click OK. Okay, I press the OK. Now they said try to change anything from here, like from the whole worksheet. So let's say I want to change this one, week 2. So let's say I want to make it week 3. So I want to write something, and they said no, you cannot write it. This cell is a protected, so make a changes, you have to unprotect the sheet, or you might need to enter the password. So basically I didn't enter any password, so obviously it will not ask, but if I make it unprotected, that will be absolutely fine. So this is the way we can protect the sheet. And if I like to change anything from here, that will be possible maybe. So let's try that. I want to make it 100, and it is working. Only except this 4, I want like any other sheet we have, I want to change, that will not be changing because it will give me the working warning. So I want all the other sheet will be protected, only the cell I want to changeable, so I can keep only that. And when it is done, I can always click this one, unprotected sheet. And if I click unprotected, so I will be able to change everything again. So for example, if I like to change, it will be possible to change. So this is the story of our protection of the cell. So let's move on. Let's have a look what else we have on the book. So we understand this one, the protecting the worksheet. Now they say like illustration 1, protecting worksheet continue. So they are asking to continue that. Now they're saying open a spreadsheet called sales discount. So there is example called sales discounts. And number two is saying assume that we want to lock only 10,000 in cell C3 and 5% figure in cell C4. So they said we want to only lock these two cells, cell C3 and C4. Okay, select the whole spreadsheet as we did above. Click on the small arrow beside the phone, click the protection, untick the lock and hidden. So this is kind of same the one we done. The cells can still be changed if you do not do this step. So you have to do some more step. Okay, select the range of cells C3, C4. Okay, so in these two, C3 and C4. In the home section on the ribbon, click the format, and after that they said log the cells. You have to log that to cells. So we want anything on the worksheet will be able to change, but only these two will not be able to change. Okay, then the last one was only this one I can change, not other one. This time I can change other one, not that one. Click on the protect sheet from the format menu and cell remain editable if you do not do this step. Okay, so you are offered to password. They will ask you to enter the password. If you like to do, you can do that. So I think like it's the same way. So let's do that. So you're going to open the example called sales discount. So let's move on to this one, sales discount. All right, we're going to open that sales discount. Okay, the sales discount. So let's try that the way they say it. We're going to follow their instruction. So the instruction we have here. So we're going to select the cell, this two cell. Okay, and after that they said the same way. What we'll do, we click on the small arrow, we go into the protection, and untick it is already unticked, so you don't have to worry about it. And then they said in the home section ribbon on the cell there is something called format. You can click format here, or you can right click, it will give you the same thing. Then after that they said click the lock cell. Okay, we'll do the lock cell. And now the cell is locked, but still I'll be able to change it unless I protect it. Then they said okay, then they said click on the protect sheet from the format menu. Okay, so on the format menu you're going to say protect the sheet, and they will offer you password. You don't have to do it. So okay, I'm not gonna do it, so I'm gonna say okay. Now I'll see if I try to change it, can I do it or not? No, it says this cell is protected, so I will not be able to change this two cell. But except this two cell, I will be able to change anything from here. For example, if I like to change this, I can change it like 12. We can make it, but this is protected. Okay, so let's maybe we protect the whole sheet. Let's have a look at that. It said hidden and showing the formula. Click on the protect sheet from the format menu. The cell remain editable if you don't do this. Okay, all right, so it is the same story. So unless we untick it, so it will be same. So let's unprotect the sheet and we'll be able to change it. But as I said, like it is not something that we do every day on the workplace, but if you need to, you can always do that. So you can always select how to lock it from here. So you can lock the cell from here, and once you lock it, you'll be still able to change it. They said until you protect it, you'll be able to change it. So I think like that's how they mean, like still will be able to change it. All right, so what is the next direction? They said hidden and showing formula in the same process can be used to hide. Okay, so they said we will be able to hide the formula if we like. So let's move on. Let's have a look where it is. So in the process that can be used to hide or show the formula on a worksheet by selecting hidden within the protection to hide formula and deselect hidden to allow the formula to see. Okay, so they said if I like to show the formula, I can select it and I can come to the format, and when I see the protect the sheet, I can always
show the formula or I can hide it. So the way you can do, we can click here and we can lock the cell, and after that we can come here, protection, and I can say I want to hide it, I want to lock it. So I want to do whatever I like. So in the explanation we can see they said locking cell or hiding formula has a no effect until you protect the whole work. So even though I hide it or lock it, until I protect the whole worksheet, they said it's not going to work. So let's say if we do that and protect the whole worksheet, and let's see if I try to change it now, so I'll not be able to change it. So I think like if you spend some time, there is a lot of things you can learn from there as well, but we are going to see that is mainly important for our synoptic exam. Even though in the exam they might not ask you like to protect or this and that, but you might need it for your own purpose. But if you do some example from this zip file and also follow from the book, maybe you'll be able to find even more whatever they said here. All right, so let's move on. What is the next one we have here? So the next one we have here, they said in the exam, remember that the question will be more difficult than the answer. So in the question, they will say number one, number two, number three, do this, do this, do that. And this step following is kind of will be like stressing for you because you have to follow every single step they said. Okay, so the next one they said you can enter the password. How to enter the password? There are few ways you can enter the password. I can show you one of these. Normally, if I need to enter the password for any of the cell, what I do, I always click here and click the save or save as, for example. And when I came here, it asked me like where I want to save, and I click option. So I choose like anywhere I like to save it, maybe desktop or somewhere. And when this is open, this section is open, what we do, I choose this one like from the tools. On the tools, there is an option called general option. So if you click the general option, you can enter the password. Now this password, we have something to open and something to modify. So if you just want the person want to going to open this file, they can only see it, but he will not be able to modify. Then you can enter the password here only. But if you want to give them the full access, you can modify the password. Once you put the password, they will ask you to re-enter the password to confirm. And the way you can do it, like you re-enter the password, and obviously you can do that. And if they try to open the file, they have to enter the password. You can click here if you want just read only recommended. So if you want on read only, the file will tell it's a read only file, so they will not be able to change anything. So this is now the one way. Or you can do another way to put the password. That is, you can click on the file, and they said here the way they said, and they said click on the info, and we have a protect the workbook. So you can say click the protect the workbook, and you can put the password. They said encrypt with the password, so you can enter the password here. So you can follow that way or that way. That way will be even more faster. If you like to send a file to someone, you can always enter the password when actually save the file. So on the tool section, if you click the general option, and it will ask you what type of password you want. You want just read only, you want to modify what you want, you can enter the password based on your requirement. All right, so let's move on. Let's have a look what else we have here. The next section we have, that is called data validation. Now, data validation is like, as I said before as well, data validation is kind of like you want to put some control on the data. So you want to tell the people or the employee or anyone who going to use that spreadsheet, like there are certain condition exist on this Excel sheet. You cannot do or you cannot override certain thing. So for example, if you said like all the managers they have to work at least 45 hours a week.
Now when someone complete the Excel sheet, and if they found 1 week manager work less than 45, the Excel will give the warning, and you have to give the explanation why. So any sort of warnings or any sort of condition or controls you like to input on the Excel, you can do it by using the data validation. So let's have a look what you have here on the data validation section. So the data validation section we have here, I said illustration 2, data validation. We're going to open this example. We're going to see it, but let's read this question first. Set up a new spreadsheet with the above data and make A2 the active cell. So when you do the practice, so make sure you follow this sort of thing, because if you don't make this sort of thing active or inactive, then it will be very difficult for you to get the result, because you will see the formula is not working. Go to data validation, then in data tools section, so we have a data validation on the data tool section. Okay, under the data validation setting tab, allow decimal, select a less than or equal to from the drop down list and enter 60 as a maximum. Now this one is kind of example. Now they said like you allow the decimal, you can allow anything you like. You can choose like only less than, you can only choose equal to, you can choose greater than, whatever you like. And you said maximum 60, you can choose based on your requirement whatever you want. Under the input message tab, enter warning as the title and hours expected to be less than 60 as the input message. So you want like the message you want hours expected to be less than 60. So that means you putting maximum 60 hours. So any employee maybe can work maximum 60 in a week. If someone try to work more than that, if someone try to enter more than 60, the warning will come, and it will tell, the warning will show hours expected to be less than 60. Okay, under the error alert tab, change the style to warning, enter attention as the title and check hours too large. So basically you can put any attention message you like. So here they are saying we want attention, like, oh, why it is not going, so you want to know. And the attention message here is check hours looks too large. So you can enter based on your requirement, like what attention message you want to give. Click OK. Now try to enter 70 in A2. You will first see an information message explain what is that expect. So if I keep my cursor there, it will give me a message, then a warning will come. So all right, let's have a look. Let's try that. Illustration 2, data validation. Let's move on to the data validation. So we'll move there. All right, so this is our data validation page. Okay, they said the first one, they said active the cell A2. So that's my A and that's my 2. So A2. So I make it active. That's fine. Then they said go to the data tool. So I click on the data and click on the data validation. So I can see that's my data validation. I click here and data validation. And this message just pop in. And they said under the settings section, choose decimal. So allow section, I can choose the whole number, time, text, but here I'm talking about the decimal, so I choose the decimal. On the data section, they said choose less than or equal to. So I'm going to choose a less than equal to. I can choose equal to, I can choose just greater than, I can choose just less than. It depends on my work requirement. Then I'm going to enter. They said enter maximum 60, so I'm going to say 60. So that's my condition I'm going to set up for this warning. So I'm setting up on cell A2 for the hours. I'm saying like no one will be able to work more than 60. So less than or equal to 60, not more than that. And my maximum is 60, and allowing the decimal. Then they said on the input section, on the title, they said write warning. So I'm going to write warning, warning, and they said on the input message, write hours expected to be less than 60. So hours expected to be less than 60. So this is the message I want to see when I keep my cursor on that cell. On the error alert, they said choose the warning. Now you can choose a stop. If you choose the warning, you can still go ahead. The difference between the warning and the stop is warning means they'll give you the warning, and if you said override, go ahead, you can go ahead. But if you stop, that means no one can go ahead because you stop. In this example, they said go for the warnings. So I can go for the warnings. The title will be here. They said on this title, write attention, attention. And on the error message, they said write check hours, look too large. So check hours as look too large. All right. So I think then okay. Now, if I keep my cursor here on A2, it will give me the message, the warning. They said hours expected to be less than 60. That means if anyone going to work on that Excel sheet, he will understand this tab or this cell will not be more than 60. Now, for example, even mistakenly, if he like to change it, want to make it 70, let's say I want to make it 70, and if I press enter, as soon as I press the enter, this warning is coming up. It says check hours as a look too large. Now you can see as I put the warning, not the stop, that's why I said continue. I can do yes, I can do no. But if I put the error alert as a stop, this message will be only stop. So I'll not be able to continue. So this section will not come continue because I said stop. You cannot do more than 60. But here is a warning. I can go ahead. So that's why it's come the continue. So this is for the data validation. So I would say you can do any cell, and obviously that's just example. Based on your requirement, you can put the control on any cell the way you like. All right, so this is our data validation. Let's move back to the book. And the next one, we have the data manipulation. It's just a subtotal. So I would say everyone, we know how to make the subtotal, so it's not something we need to worry about. Then we have some average thing. This is not very important. The next one we have illustration number 4. It says like applying a filter to the data, applying a filter to the data. So this one I think like more or less we use the filter or sorting everyday life, but let's have a look what they're saying here. I said activity 4. On the activity 4, applying a filter to data. Open Stockman Limited, the spreadsheet. So that's from the zip folder, the downloaded file we have. So from that file, we have to open this example, is Stockman Limited spreadsheet. Let's say we just want to find inventory records relating to supplier B and C. Okay, select filter from the sort and filter drop down. So we know where it is. So if we click on the data, there we have a section for the sort and filter. Click on the drop down arrow and has appeared on the top supplier column. Deselect all, select all, and then just select B and C and click OK. I think even the question is more tricky than the answer. So if you see what they're saying like do the filter of the data. So we know how to do it. Click the filter, and after that they said select everything, and after that deselect everything and just select B and C. So let's do that. Let's have a look. Where is this example? Stockman Limited. So let's try to find this one, activity 4. So illustration 4, Stockman Limited. So we have Stockman Limited. Yeah. So this is the example. So they're saying we want to do some filter. I think this is already filtered here, so I can change it first so that we understand it. Okay. So this is the information. Now the filter or sorting we use when you like to see certain information. For example, let's say from here, I want to see only for information for the A limited and B limited, but not C, not D, not E, not F. I want to see only for the supplier. So for example, if I need to pay some money to the supplier A, and I want to see how much I need to pay for A, now A could be here as well, or I want to see how much is the total A and F or A and B, so I can do the filter. So what I'll do, I can I can select this range, and I click on the data section on the ribbon. So if we click the data, there is something called filter. This symbol will come for the filter. If I click the filter, so you can see this little down arrow will show here, and that means the filter has been selected. Now after that, I can choose any of the column I like, but I want to see how much is due to the supplier A and B based on the question we have. So I can click on the supplier, and I can choose only A and B. So now there are a few ways to do it. I can remove all the other C, D, E, F like that, or I can click on the select all, so it will be selected all. And if I click again select all, then everything will be gone, and I can just choose like A and B because I want to see the information only for A and B. So if I click that, so it will show me only for the information A and B. And from this whole row or from this whole column, you can see only this one shows the filter sign. That means others is not filter. Only this uh, column we filter. So from here you can see like what happened. The reason it is important sometimes, like if you don't look at here and you see where is my data, where is the information is gone, and if you look at that sign, you will understand like, oh, this data has been filtered, so obviously maybe the data is inside. So you can always have a look, you can reveal the data, you can unhide the data. So from here, if you like to see everything again, so you can click there and select all, so the information will be back again. And if I like to see it again only for maybe C and D, I choose C and D, and I can see here. So this is kind of I would say very useful tools if you have a lot of information. For example, let's say if you have a lot of product, and if you like to see data based on only a certain product, not for everything, so what you can do, you can select from the sorting, and that will give you only that range of data. All right, and here the sorting and the filtering is kind of very connected. So the way you can sort, if you like to remove the filter, you can always select the whole worksheet, and you can click on the filter, it will be gone. And if you like to sort it, you can sort the data as well. So let's say if you click the sort, and it will be automatically showing the range what you want to sort, and from here you can choose what you exactly want. For example, if you like to sort with the supplier, with the quantity, with the reorder level, with the unit price. Let's say if I choose supplier, it will tell me what I want A to Z, what I want Z to A. So I like to see this in order with the name. So if I choose A to Z, so it will be changed with the A to Z. So you can see we have A first, then B, then C, then D, then E, then F. So this sorting and the filter is quite connected, and like when you do sort, and the same time sometimes we need to do the filter as well. So filter means like from the whole range of data, whatever we are looking for, we can find it our information. And the sorting is like for example, let's say we have some unit price, and we like to see which unit price are lower. So if I choose that, and if I like to see which company give me the lower unit price, so we have a 12, 10. Rather than seeing that, if I click on the sorting, and if I click the sort by section, if I click the unit price, and smallest to largest, I can see from the small to large, I can see large to small. The way I like, I can see that. So I can click here, then it will be okay. Then you can see it start with the smallest one, 10, 12, then 14, then 20, then 25, 34, 30, 7, and 65. So the filter and sorting is quite important formula in Excel. So obviously, like in your workplace, this is the one we use on our daily life. All right, so this is about our applying the sort and the filter. And obviously, like if you have any question, make sure you can ask so that I can explain you more in my best. So obviously, if you think like any question you have in your head, you can always ask me. Okay, so the next section we have, that is number 5, that we have find and replace. Now, find and replace, we already talked a little bit about it before. Now, find and replace is quite easy. All I need to do, I need to see what I want to find and what I want to replace to. So if I know this information, it's not going to be very difficult for me to find and replace the information. All right, so you can see here using find and the replace, they said making all the records visible again. Let's see what is the example they said. Find and replace. Let's now say that supplier A limited has been taken over, that is names changed to um, account PLC. Sometimes it happens like, when one company buy another company, or when one company they change the name. Company are allowed to change the name anytime. So sometimes, for example, you have a company, Tesco Limited. Now they want to change it to Tesco Supermarket Limited. So obviously, like if this is the thing, then obviously you can always change it. So if the customer said my company name is not this anymore, or I have a supplier, he changed the name based on his requirement, you can always find and replace that. All right, so let's take a question from Sarka. If I am likely to be doing the separate Excel exam, timing, are this practice task training sufficient, or do I need to look? You don't have to look more than that, Sarka. This is the story of Excel. What we are doing, you're gonna see the same story in everywhere. So the Excel don't have something new. So all of the Excel we have from 2013 till Excel 365 is more or less the same thing. All right, so let's have a look. This example, activity 5. So using find and replace. So make all the record visible again by removing the filter if you haven't already. So we already done it. We remove all the filters. Click on the find and select symbol, select find, or press Ctrl F. So this is the quickest way. If you want to find something, then you can just press Ctrl F, the way we do Ctrl C for the copy and Ctrl V for the paste. So we can do exactly the same thing. Ctrl F, then the new window will become for the find and replace. Enter L limited in the find what box. So there will be a box called find what. There I'm going to write L limited. Click on the replace tab and enter Acron limited in the replace with. So all the A limited I want to change to Acron limited, and click replace all. Now the replace all means you want to replace everything you have on the whole worksheet. So let's have a look how does it work. So you're going to use the same example they're saying. So we're going to do that. So let's have a open this question. So find and replace. Okay. So they said unfilter it. So it is already unfiltered. So we want to change A limited to Acon limited, Acon limited, ACORN PLC. Okay. So what we do first, we do Control F. So if you press the Control F, this box will be open, and here there is a find. So if I like to find something, I can always write it down. For example, if I like to write A limited, if I click find, it will show me only the A limited. So A limited is moving. so I can find anything. So if I have a whole range of data, if I look for something, if I just enter here, it will be show me that data. But remember that if I just find something from here, find what, so it will only find from this worksheet, not from the other tab. For example, I have a sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, sheet 5, or I have a many tab. It's not gonna be search for all the sheet I have. It will be only looking for from sheet 1. So that's why it's very important to understand, because it's a worksheet. If I like to look for every single sheet I have, so if I look for a limited, and if I like to look for every single sheet I have on this Excel workbook, I have to click on the option. And obviously from here, you can see the within is a sheet, but I would say workbook. If I change it to workbook, so it doesn't matter how many tab I have, it will find from there and will change it. Or if you want to just find, it will find from there. So it is very important to understand that. Okay, so here we just need to change the A limited to Arcon Acorn PLC. So let's change that. What is the name? ACORN PLC. So we are saying every single A limited we have, that will be changed to Aircon PLC. Now I can do replace one specific one that is selected, or I can say replace all. So every single A limited we have, that will be changed to Aircon PLC. So I can say replace all. If I click there, and it says all done, we made 3 replacement. So 3A limited, I can see now there is no more A limited. So Aircon limited, and the Aircon PLC. So every single A limited we had, it is changed to now Aircon PLC. Now this is quite useful tools for the Excel in case if I like to change anything. For example, if I like to change all this yes to no, so I can say I want to find what is yes, and I want to change it to no. So as soon as I do that, every single yes will be changed to no. So it's like kind of the quickest way to change some data. But remember, when you change the data, you should think the impact as well. As Sarka said last time, like if you change the 0, maybe every single 0 will be changed where it is. So when you replace it, make sure you understand what is the impact of that. So this is the replace and sort and replace. And I think like it's not very difficult. And if you do a little bit practice, will be absolutely fine with the replace and the sort. Okay, so we have the next section is for the pivot table. But before we go to the pivot table, we will take a break. And obviously, like we have one more lesson as well for the Excel. So we'll not do too much today because we have one more lesson, maybe the last lesson. Next week we'll do a little bit about the Excel. But today we do maybe pivot table or VLOOKUP. After that we'll finish today. Then next week we'll do a little bit like maybe we can do some sort of like planning what question can come in the exam. So let's take a break and we'll come back. And after that, we're going to start with our pivot table. So the pivot table section we have, as we said at the beginning, that could be a very useful tools for all of us, especially who is analyze the data. For example, let's say if you work as assistant accountant, and if you are the person who is like do the bank analysis, especially if someone have a plan to work in the practice. So if you work as assistant accountant or as a bookkeeper in a practice, not in industry, so you have to analyze a lot of data, especially the bank analysis. So the client will give you the bank statement, and you have to analyze the information. You have to analyze the data and the number, and to categorize the expenses. So when a client come to us, what we do? So we tell the client, can I have your bank statement? This is the main thing we ask from the client. So this is the main thing we ask from the client, like the bank statement. And from the bank statement, we analyze the data. So we said This is for the rent, this is for the advertising, this is for the rates, this is for the bills, this is for the wages and expense. So we categorize the expense. So if our Excel is not very good, it's going to be very hard for us to analyze the data very quickly. So pivot table is one of the ways, so you can have all the information, categorize the expenses, and as I said before, that this software, like this pivot table itself, is work like a software. So let's have a look what we have here. So they said pivot table. Pivot tables are a very powerful way of analyzing data. Look at the following simple example relating to sales by a music company. So we have a customer. This is the name. We have Bill and Chris, Sandra, Chris, and the source. So we have a CD. We have like other product. We have Vinny. So tickets and the amount is spent. All of this. So this is the small data, the sales data for some customers. The information has simply been listed and total on the spreadsheet. It would be useful to be able to show sales per customers. So how much is sales per customer and sales by source? Okay, so let's have a look what is the requirement here. Ideally, we would like to produce a table which displays sale by both source and by customer. This type of table is called pivot table. Illustration 6, creating a pivot table. Open the spreadsheet file called pivot table example, which contain the above data. Okay. Select the range A4 to C19. On the ribbon, select insert and pivot table. Now, nowadays, the Excel always recommend the pivot table. So it's not like you have to make your own pivot table. If you click on the insert, and there will be two sections. One is pivot table, one is a recommended pivot table. So always try to see the recommended pivot table in the workplace. For the example here, we can do manually, but when you're working in a company, because Excel understand what will be the best picture for your data. So if you follow the recommended pivot table, they'll give you some format and you can follow that. And obviously from there, you will be more clear like which format is more suitable for your company. Check customer source and amount spent. You will you will see that customer and the source go by default into the row level. Then resulting level table is quite useful but not quite what we wanted. Therefore, drag customer from the row level to the column levels. The pivot table is now transformed into the two dimensional table we want. Tidy up the table, blah blah blah. So I think like this is quite simple. It's not very difficult what they're asking here. So let's open the pivot table, creating a pivot table. Let's open this Excel example, and from there we'll see what we have here. So creating a pivot table. Okay, so we have here pivot table. They said first what we need to do, we need to select the range. So from A4, so A4 till A19. So we can select it. And after that, they said click insert and click the pivot table. As I said, or as I mentioned before, we have a recommended pivot table. You can always follow that recommended one, but for this example purpose, we can use the pivot table. So it's a pivot table. And when you click the pivot table, this box will come up, and from here you have to choose you want this pivot table in a new worksheet, like in a new sheet like sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, or you want to keep the pivot table in the same worksheet. So we can choose like new worksheet. If I click that, another new worksheet will come and the pivot table will be there. But if I want to know, I just want the pivot table here, there is no problem for that. For this example, the question said keep on this existing worksheet. So I click the existing worksheet. Now they said location, what I want to keep the pivot table. I can click anywhere and the pivot table will be there. So for example, I just click here. So it shows I want my pivot table here. And once I'm happy, I just click OK. and I can see it says the pivot table is here, but there is no data because every single information I have, it is unticked. So if it is unticked, that means like the information will not be shown in the table. So let's have a look. Now they said check customer source and amount spent. So I'm going to check it. Click, click, click. And I can see all the information is on the table now. So this table shows for the bill, CD, and ticket, 96, Caroline, 54 total, Chris, 60 total, Fred, 60. But they say this is not the one we want. We want little bit different way. So, okay. So if we said we want little bit different way, so let's see how can we do that. So the first thing we need to be very careful, that is like the information we have. So we can, as we said, we can always like choose the way we like. So this one we have, this is our name of the customer, but the question said we don't want that way. We want a different way. So we said that's fine. If we want different way, there is no problem for that. So we can always change it. So we said this pivot table, they said change the customer, drag the customer from the row to column. So he said, all right, we can do that. So we can drag the customer. So we have a customer here, and we like to change the customer to the column from the row. So we drag it and drop it there. So all you need to do is to drag it and drop it there. So as long as we drag and drop there, this is completely changed now. You can see the format we have here, that is exactly on the book, the way they said it should be like that. So I can now see for the bill total is 96, for the Caroline, for the Chris, for everyone. Now this is all the way you want. This is basically the number we have from here. This is the amount of spent for every single customer. Now let's say, for example, if I want something different way, for example, if I want something I want to see, it's a very simple OSIM. So it was before the customer was here. So you can see the customer is on our on the row column. So that's why the customer showing on the row. But I want my customer will be on the column. So I drag the customer and drop it on the column. So now the customer move into the column, not any row anymore. So now if I want to change anything I like, for example, I want to see what it will be the sum or the quantity. So what I'll do, you see this section value. If you click here, and from here, what you can do, you can change whatever you like. So I'll show you just 1 second. So let's say if I come here and click here on the sum amount spent, and the last field we have, that is called value field setting. So value field setting, it will tell me exactly what I want here. Now you can see this is now sum means the total. I want the total amount for the customer. But if I just want the count, the number, if I click the count, it will show all the number. So how many times I told the CD, how many times I sold the ticket, how many times I sold to Chris. And if I like to make it, for example, if I said I want the average, I can make the average. I can make it maximum, minimum, product. So the way you like, you can do from here. Normally we use the sum or the count. So I want to see the total. So it will show here. So anyhow, we can like, for example, if I want the customer will be under the source, so my source will be top, then the customer. So I can see source in the top, then the customer in the middle. If I want, now source will be customer will be first, then source. So I can see the name is now on the top, then the source. So I can exactly play with that. For example, I can say I want to see the source on the column. So as soon as I do that, so source will be on the column and the name will be on the row. And if I said no, source will be on the row and the customer on the column, so I can do the way I want. It's a quite interesting formula. And as soon as you click the form outside, it will be gone. But if you click here, so the settings option will come. And from here, you can change whatever you like. The another interesting thing here, like if you change any data from here, any data from the source information, the pivot table will be changed automatically, but you have to click the refresh. So if you click come to the data, you see there is something called refresh all. Anytime if you change any data for the table, you have to click the refresh and it will be updated automatic. The next interesting thing is, for example, I have a for a bill I have 70. Now, if I like to see how I end up with 70, for example, let's say it is a British gas and it is a £5,000. And I want to know the breakdown of this £5,000. So what I'll do is very simple. I just need to double click here. So for example, if I need to see what is the breakdown of the 70, I double click and it shows me how we end up with this 70. So it will show me, you can see it's now 50 20 means 70. So every time if I want to see it, I can always check the breakdown and it will always show me, or it will always take me there. So if I like to see how can I end up with the 105, how come I end up with this 185, how many cities there, if I double click it will show me the breakdown of all of this. So this is quite interesting. This pivot table, if you have a time, you can spend some time on this pivot table. You can make some random data and you can try to see what you can do in the pivot table. There is a lot of things you can do in the pivot table. You can do the expense analysis, income analysis. Everything is possible from this pivot table. So let's have a look what we have on the book now. What is the next thing they're asking? So you have done this and they said it should be look like that. So I think our one is look like that now exactly. So we have the story. So we have this Bill 96, Caroline 56, then grand total 500. I think we have the same thing for that. So it's exactly match with our requirement. So this is the way we can prepare the pivot table. So all you need to do, you need to have the data first, then you click on the insert, then you select the range, then you can basically manipulate the data there. All right, so the next section we have on the book, so they are asking for make a chart. Now chart is quite easy to be honest, because especially for the pivot table, if you click on the table you can see the chart option will be there, and from there you can select the chart you like. So from your range of the chart you can choose the right one for you. So let's say for example, if I go back to our question, and we can see here, and if we click on the pivot table, the first thing we have to do, have to click on the pivot table. If we click there, and it will show me the pivot table analysis. So pivot table analysis, we can see here pivot table analysis, and if we click here, the few chart will open. So you can see pivot chart, the recommended one. We can choose anyone we like. So pivot table chart, and there's a lot of chart option we have. You can choose anyone you like, but in this question they said like choose the custard column. Choose the custard column. On the book they said choose the custard column, so we just said okay, custard column, and it will be open here. So this is my pivot table, and every time if I change any data, for example, for the Winnie, for example, if I change, for example, it is, if I make it for example 50, and after that if I just do the refresh, it should have an impact on my pivot table chart as well. So you can see the VIN is going up now. So any raw data we change here, it will have the full impact on everywhere, on the analysis and on the chart as well. So it's a very useful information, because you have a raw data and after that you just change that, all the other information will be updated automatically. All right, and this chart you can do a lot of things. You can change the color, you can do whatever you like. So you have a lot of option here. So you can, the way you want, you can do that. You can make the color. So there's a lot of thing here. You can do that. So anyway, so this is our pivot chart. So let's have a look. Is there anything else there? So we have sharing the workbook, and that is the connecting the cells. So it says move. Okay, this one is basically how many worksheets. So you can copy it. Let me show you how you can copy the worksheet. For example, if I want exactly the same worksheet in another tab, So for example, I want to copy the whole worksheet. How can I do that? So on the bottom, on the tab, what I do the right click, and after that we'll have an option that is called move or copy. If I click this one, move or copy, it will tell me what exactly I want, which sheet I like to copy. So for example, if I said I like to copy sheet number 1, sheet number 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, and I just select that. After that I said create a copy, and after that I just press OK, then the new copy sheet will be open. So it will be written like sheet 4 copy. So if I like to copy the whole sheet, I can do that way. So I right click and I said move or copy, and I just select the sheet, and after that just say create a copy, and okay, that's it. It's quite simple. All right, so the next one we have pasting from pasting that. I think like the copy and paste, it is not very difficult for us. Then we have linking the worksheet. Linking the worksheet is quite simple as well. So let's have a look. One example, maybe we can see it. Linking the worksheet is not very difficult thing. So for example, if I like to link something, let's say I have a 20 here, and if I like to write 20 here, I want to link this cell, I can always enter the equal. Any type of formula in Excel is start with equal, so we know it. So we enter the equal first, and after that we select the cell that I want to link, and if I press enter, you can see the 20 will be here. Now for example, let's say I want to link two cell. For example, I have a 20 and 30, so that gives me 50, isn't it? So I want to say I want to add these two. So 20 plus 30, that gives me 50. So this cell is a link to this two cell. Now if I change any of the cell here, that will have impact on this link cell. So for example, if I change this 20 to 50, and that will be changed. So that will be changed. So let me have a look. So I should change. So it's become 80 now. If I change it to 50, for example, it should change to 100. So sometimes it's like you need to refresh. Remember that once you do this one, Excel, you always have data. You can refresh the data from here. So if you look at the formula, it always should change you the data. But once you select that, make sure you always refresh. You select the data, refresh, then it will be changed automatically. But if you have already set up the automatic, it will calculate automatic. So it's like the way you set up your workbook. Okay, so let's have a look what else we have here. So this is the one we have talked about already. So let's have a look what else we have. So we have one more option, that is for the VLOOKUP. So you're going to see that. I think then after that, that's all we have for today. Okay, so I want to show you one more thing, that is like formulas. If you come to the formulas, for example, here we can see there is something called calculation option. So if your Excel doesn't work automatically for same data, that means this calculation option is selected on manual. So if you want to do it automatic, you can always click the automatic, and if you do that, Excel will calculate all the data automatically. For example, if I change it now 100, it should work automatically 150. But if I don't change it from here, for example, if I keep it manual, if I change it here, for example, 500, that will have no impact. But if I choose automatic from here, as soon as I change any data here, for example 1000, it will be work automatically. So make sure it is on the formula and the calculation, and it should be automatic always, especially when you do exam or in your workplace. If you see the data is not automatically working, it's not subtracting, it's not adding, so you can check always with your formula with the calculation option and keep it on the automatic. All right, the next section we're going to see, that will be our the formatting the table. I think this one is quite easy. You can make a table, is not something difficult. I can show you where to get this. So we have, so if you go there, any of the Excel, So on the home section, so you should see there is something called formatting the table. So format as a table, there's a lot of template here, and this template normally come with the this template normally come with the uh, filtering. So if you choose any of the one, for example, if you choose this one, you can see the range, you can select the range, and I'm not sure the empty will work or not. Yes, it is working. So you can see this table is created, but it is created with the filtering. So you can see it is filtering here. All right, so the next one, let's have a look what else we have. The next one we have here, that is for the VLOOKUP. There should be. So I'll give you 1 minute, just quickly look at this question. And after that, we're going to solve this question for the VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP is quite important. So just quickly read this, and after that, we're going to solve it together. So let's find it out. Where is the VLOOKUP example we have here? That is salesman. Okay, so that's the example. But first we'll see what is the question here. Okay, so we have here, they are saying the lookup function allows you to find out use data that is held in the table. So we have a VLOOKUP, HLOOKUPs. Normally, you're going to use the same way because the VLOOKUP is the vertical and the HLOOKUP is the horizontal. But story is same, the formula is same. Now we have an example here. Now there's a lot of explanation here, but I'll make it very simple for you to understand how it work. So VLOOKUP is basically when I look for something and I want exactly the specific data from the whole range of data. Let's say, let's say I have 5 products, A, B, C, D, and E. I have 5 products, A, B, C, D, E, and every product have a price like 10, 12, 14, 16, and E is 18. This is the unit price. And I just want to know how much is the unit price for C. So let's say I have a lot of data here, a lot. And from all this data, I want maybe for C and D only. So if I have a 1,000 data or 10,000 data or 1 million data from all of the worksheet, I want one specific range. So I want how much is the unit price for C and D. Now, if I try to look at with the sorting or the filtering, maybe I have to go one by one and I have to check one by one. But on the other hand, if I use this VLOOKUP formula, my life will be very easy. And in a minute, I can solve this problem. So I can solve this problem in a minute. So let's have a look. How does it work? Let's open one Excel sheet and let's have a look how we can sort it out. So it's a lookup example. Here we go. So already done it a little bit here. So this is the example. Now they said we have a product code. Now this product code could be your employee code. For example, if you have an employee and the employee have a number, let's say this could be the employee number, could be a national insurance number, can be date of birth. You can have any identical number. And from there, you can find anything. For example, here I have a product code, this, and that could be a lot of product code. And in this box, they said we are looking for the product code this 129396 and looking for the unit price. Now we can see this one 129396 from here should somewhere, but if I try to look one by one, and for example, let's say I have a thousands of data here. Now how long is going to take if I check everything one by one? It will take a lot of time. So that's why we're going to use the formula that is called VLOOKUP. And VLOOKUP will find my problem in a second. Let's have a look. How does it work? Let's say the cell I want to get the information. So I want the unit price. So I'm going to active this cell first. So I'm going to make active this cell. So I'm going to click here. This cell is now active. And any Excel formula that will be start with equal sign. So I'm going to press the equal sign. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to enter the formula. And the formula is VLOOKUP. So I'm going to type VLOOKUP. If you type VL, it will come there. So VLOOKUP. So after that, you will double click on the formula. So double click, and you can see the formula bar is now there. So now I have to tell the formula what I want from where. What I want from where. So I want the unit price, and I have to give a indication. For example, if I ask you, like, there is 100 people in the hall room, and find a person who wear the red suit. So you'll go inside of the hall room and you see there's a lot of people, and you find the person who wear the red suit. So you have to give some indication to the formula so that formula can look for that. So we will set, I'll look for the unit price based on the product code 129396. I'm going to select that. I'll say based on that product code, I want the unit price. So I said, okay, so that's my product code. So I give the indication based on that, I want the unit price. So I select that. That means now Excel understand what I want. Every single breakdown in Excel is start with a comma. So anything I want, the next thing will be comma. So in the middle always will be comma. So I'm going to press the comma, and Excel will understand we look of value. So value is done. Table area, from where I'm looking for, from where the table area. So I'm going to table area, I'm going to select all of this. So I'm looking for this item from all of this my table range. So I'm selecting all of this. Then I do the comma again. Now the next thing is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the unit price. I'm looking for the unit price. And then I have to know where is the unit price. So we can see here for this example, the first one is the part code, the next one is the VAT code, and third one is unit price. So third one is the unit price. So it's 1, 2, and 3, number 3. So I have to press 3 so that Excel will understand what exactly I'm looking for. If I'm looking for the VAT code is 2, 1, and 2, but the unit price is number 3, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to enter 3. So I'm going to say 3. As soon as I press the 3, the Excel will understand I'm looking for third column. So once I'm done, now I'm going to put another comma. So as soon as I put another comma, the Excel will tell me what exactly I'm looking for. I'm looking for approximately match, or I'm looking for exact match. But also I'm looking for exact match. I don't want something like, for example, that is 9.99. So it will take for the 10. I'm looking for 10 and it will pick 9.9, and I don't want that. I want the exact match. So I'm going to choose double click on the exact match. And after that, I'll close the bracket. So I said, okay, close the bracket, and I'm done with the formula, everything. And I'll press the enter. And immediately I press the enter, it will tell me what is the unit price. So I can see the unit price is 12. So it's pick from here. This is the unit price for that is 12. Now, if you have a lot of information, let's say if you have more product code here, and if you just have this one drag in, it will done automatically for you. If you do drag in, the next one will be done automatically. For example, if you have 1000 product, and if you just do one VLOOKUP for the first one, and if you just drag in the next one, the rest of one will be done automatically. But sometimes if you see if it doesn't work properly, so make sure you use the absolute referencing number. So you just do the absolute referencing, so it will be work definitely. So this is basically the VLOOKUP. That's the way the VLOOKUP works. So if you look for something, then you can use that. So I'm going to quickly do it once again because it's a little bit tricky. So what we'll do first, we start with the equal sign. Equal. After that, I'm going to use the formula VLOOKUP. Choose the formula, and what I'm looking for the unit price, but I need to give the indication, the hints will be product code. After that, comma, from where I'm looking for from the whole data. I'm selecting the whole data, then I'll put another comma, and I want what I exactly want from this whole table, number 3, 1, 2, and 3. It could be number 4, 5, depends on your requirements. I want number 3. and comma again, and it will tell me I want the approximately match or I want the exact match. I choose the exact match, then close, enter, that's it. So that's how we can complete the VLOOKUP formula. And VLOOKUP is a very important formula because especially if you like to work in a public sector, for example, NHS or in a council or in a school, when they will take your interview for the assistant accountant or for any of the post on the finance section, they will definitely give you a example, or they'll give you a task to complete for the VLOOKUP and for the pivot table. These two, they'll definitely ask you, do you know it? Or if you go to the NHS interview, they'll give you a 15-minute just to perform on the Excel. So they'll give you a question and they'll tell you complete this question on the Excel. So they'll want to know how much Excel you know. And I have seen like a lot of interview. I have done myself as well, a lot of NHS interview. So I have seen like everywhere, like they asking like this VLOOKUP and the pivot table. So that's it we have for the VLOOKUP. So let's have a look. Yeah, so that's it we have for the VLOOKUP. Yeah, so there's a lot of explanation here. You can read yourself, and obviously like that will maybe give you more knowledge. But a story is like if you look for certain data from the huge range of data, when you have a lot of information, and from there you look for something specific, as I said, especially if you work for the payroll and for the pension, this unique formula will be very helpful for you. So this is the story of the VLOOKUP. So we'll finish our lesson today here because we have one more lesson and we have few more questions maybe. And next week we're going to practice a little bit more, even though the question we have that is not very important and that will not come in the exam. Up to VLOOKUP is quite important, but still we're going to do some practice because we have one more lesson to do with Excel before we can move to our spreadsheet question, the synoptic question. So after that, we'll do a little bit 2x practice for the synoptic, and hopefully, like that will be start making sense. All the combination of the spreadsheet and the ethics and the synoptic.